Calling this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. At this time, we'll have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Dr. Steve Taylor, Senior Pastor, Emerald Coast Fellowship.
Let's pray. Father, we are grateful, grateful to you. We certainly pray for those that are in the pathway of the storm, and yet there is also a sigh of relief in some regards that we keep watch in relationship to the current storm. Lord, I thank you for our leaders. I thank you for all the planning that they do, regardless of which direction things go, just to prepare. We know that we have a phenomenal team here in this county, in this city, in Lynnhaven. I thank you for their leadership. I pray that you would guide this meeting. I thank you for the privilege to invoke your name at the beginning of a meeting like this, and to ask you to help us not only as we seek to, in an orderly way, to look at the issues and needs of the city, but also to be an encouragement to one another, that we treat one another with kindness, that will reflect your heart. We love you, Lord. We ask it in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time we'll have our public hearing for the final millage rate and for the final general fund enterprise fund for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Open this public hearing at 5:32 p.m.
City of Lynnhaven, the rollback rate is 3.760. Percentage of increase over the rollback rate is 9.04. Millage rate is to be levied 4.1. The resolution 2022-09395, a resolution of the City of Lynnhaven, Bay County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Bay County for fiscal year 2022-2023, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions for Ms. Kiki? Any public commentary? Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, City Manager, if you'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Final general fund enterprise fund budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. City Manager, if you will read the resolution by title only, please.
A resolution of the City of Lynnhaven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2022-2023, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Kiki? Any questions comments from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote, is there a motion to adopt?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closed at 5:34 p.m.
Thank you.
Public hearing for the final community redevelopment agency budget, fiscal year 2022-2023. Public hearing opens at 5:35 p.m.
Resolution 2022-09397, a resolution of the City of Lynnhaven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2022-2023, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Janke? Any questions from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, will you call the vote, please?
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closed at 5:36 p.m. This time we'll have our public commentary. Please remember to state your name, address, direct your comments to the chair, and remember we have a 3-minute limit.
Jerry Parker, Rhett Place. I'd like to address something that I had spoken about 2 meetings ago in reference to Mrs. Gaynor being the assistant to Michael White. I actually did a little bit of research, and in the News Herald, when she was hired as the Lynnhaven city manager, and I'm going to quote from the News Herald, that she served as interim city manager and is second in command to former city manager Michael White, who resigned, well, we know. So that sort of says that you were an assistant to him. Also, Gaynor has worked at the city for 2 years, serving in the capacity of grant and contract manager, deputy city clerk, interim human resources director, and the director of administrative support services, and as acting city manager following White's March resignation. I say those 2 things because I think it's disingenuous when you say you weren't the assistant manager to him, and I don't blame you. I would want to distance myself from him as well. So that's my first thing. My other thing was just recently, there was a release from the court documents from the Anderson Finch trial. And in that, it's talking about, now these are FBI testimony. When someone testifies before the FBI, they give 302s and they give information. Those are compiled, and then the FBI gives testimony. And this one is in reference to All Britain recalling a meeting between Michael White, Jay Moody, beforehand. And it was in reference to the wanting them to give the Tetra Tech contract to Forehand. So I'm going to read directly from this court document. After their conversation thereafter, Michael White, Kelly Bastini, and Vicki Gaynor changed their rankings so that Tetra Tech was the highest ranked awarded contract. So these are my questions. If indeed that is true, at this point, I would advise the commission to hold off on renewal of the city manager's contract until after the trial and after the next election in spring of 2023. So my 2 questions are, Ms. Gaynor, do you still deny that you were an assistant to Michael White?
Mm-hmm.
And did you change the score sheets to reflect Tetra Tech would be the one to get the monitoring contract?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Sorry.
Good afternoon. I'm Jody Moore on Amherst Street in Lynnhaven. Good afternoon. I'm here to speak about Vicki Gaynor's contract. Before I begin, let me just say that I'm a woman of faith, too, and I prayed about what I'm going to say. The proposal on the consent agenda is that Ms. Gaynor's contract as city manager be extended for 4 years at her current salary, $140,000 a year. I think this commission needs to take another look at that. A recent court filing, as Jerry read out, showed Ms. Gaynor might have engaged with others in changing the scores when companies were bidding to get hired to monitor debris removal, so that Tetra Tech got the contract. If the allegations from the Anderson Finch current filing from yesterday are true, Ms. Gaynor should not even have this job. Even if they're not true, I find it hard to believe that Ms. Gaynor did not see the corruption going on all around her after Hurricane Michael. She recently denied that she was Michael White's assistant. Ms. Gaynor was Michael White's second in command. She was the deputy clerk. She can say she's not, but she was second in command. She worked closely with Mr. White. How do I know? Because when he left his position in disgrace, she was the one who was tapped to take his place because she knew the job. You can't claim to be close, yet also claim separation. How did Ms. Gaynor not see what Michael White was doing? If she did see it, she didn't speak up. She didn't protect the citizens of Lynnhaven. I don't think that should be rewarded with a 4-year contract and over $500,000 of salary over those 4 years. If you need to extend her contract, you can extend it until after the election in the spring and after the court case this winter. You up there on that commission, you have a responsibility to the voters who put you there, and remember that they're watching. Some of you up there want to use your religion as a shield, but I say, remember, God sees, He knows the truth, and He's the one you need to worry about, not us.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
To the mayor, commissioners, my name is Lois Miller. I live at 1508 Mississippi Avenue, Lynnhaven, Florida. I've been there a long time.
Can you pull your mic up for us a little bit? Thank you.
My husband, Leon Miller, recommended Miss Gaynor for the position here, and it was not to be Michael White's assistant. As far as her contract and her renewal, it shouldn't be based on anything before Michael White lost his job by what he had done. You need to look at what she has done. She has done an excellent job, and no one should come up here and speak before she became city manager. You need to look at what she's done as a city manager, not what she has done before becoming it. I was here when the board approved her to be a city manager, and I have looked from afar. I haven't been here every commissioner meeting. I don't have to be here every commissioner meeting. But I will be here to represent, because my husband can't anymore. I am saying to the board, and I don't have a written speech, I'm speaking from my heart, that you should look at Miss Vicky Gaynor's work, not before she became city manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Johnny Bashir, 811 Louisiana. I apologize ahead of time. I said I was not going to speak, but I am going to speak. I would like to thank one of the earlier people that got up here and spoke in public commentary, because I did not know all of the different positions Vicki had held within the city. And I can't tell you, I can't think of anybody more qualified to hold the position she does than Vicki. The other thing I would like to say is due process. Due process calls that you have a process, and to say, oh, we're not going to do this before you have the facts is the wrong thing to do. You don't convict somebody in public and lynch them because of something that somebody's said that may or may not be factual. You can't act on that. That's not due process. And I'm going to tell you this, as a citizen of Lynnhaven, I am watching, and if you do not renew her contract this time, you will not have my vote at the next election. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Bashir's 811 Louisiana Avenue. I wasn't going to speak either. I wasn't even going to come to this meeting based on the Friday meeting, but I felt compelled to after the allegations were levied yesterday. So Once upon a time, a lawyer wrote a fictional tale, and instead of presenting it to a publisher, he filed it as a motion in a criminal case. It was then taken and presented in public media as factual, and the city manager was tried and convicted based on a 23-word sentence at the end of the document. It is not uncommon for a business's rating to change after additional documentation is provided for a bid rating. Also, considering the time this contract was awarded, the city was under enormous pressure to deal with the debris removal and find a way to pay for it. There's always another possible explanation of these events than presented by one party. Freedom of speech does not include protection for the following categories: incitement, defamation, fraud, obscenity, child pornography, fighting words, and threats. These violations are not protected form of speech. As a citizen of Lynnhaven, it has become apparent in the last few months that the continued criticism of the city manager has become the personal crusade of a few people. I am appealing for it to cease so that Lynnhaven and its citizens can continue to move forward without outside negative interference. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Christy McElroy, Tallahassee, and Port St. Joe. I wasn't sure I was going to come to the meeting either. Here's the deal. What happens in Bay County has a tendency to leach out to other cities and other counties. That's how we ended up with Adam Albritton, who Vicki worked very closely with. And we know where Adam is now. This isn't Scooby-Doo. This isn't Nancy Drew. These are the facts. And bad things have happened to 2 counties based off of greed after a devastating storm. I don't think we're quite finished with finding the truth. And someone's pay raise or contract can wait. I think it doesn't even need to be done for 3 months. This is a picture of your chief of police and Michael White. Okay? I'm gonna leave it here because I don't think we're finished. And as far as looking at 390 and Harvard, that should have never been done. And I did a lot of research. And Mayor, you work for Think, as does Patrice L. Griffiths.
I don't work for Think Realty.
You don't work for Think?
No, I don't, and I never have.
Okay. Well, that is part of the Kirkman Group. Is that correct?
I don't work with the Kirkman Group either.
All right. So you're not working as a real estate agent at all?
I am, but
Okay.
not with the companies you stated.
All right. Well, if you would please disclose who exactly you're working for.
I don't have to. Thank you.
All right. And that is outside of the policy. So no clapping, no booing. And again, I've seen your picture on a real estate.
I don't have any real estate signs posted, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, I'm going to leave this here. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes.
Did you say yes to me?
Yes.
Joyce Smith, and I'm sure who want to find out where I live have been by there, but I'm a citizen of Lynnhaven, Florida. I am a Christian. I do go to Bible study on Tuesday and Wednesday, which I will start back attending because this is not a part of me. Vicki, you and Pastor and several others know where your help comes from. And while someone are digging and plotting and going to find out, yes, it's public information, but truly believe that we are praying for you. And when you get too weak to walk, we are holding you up. I'm not for fraud and disappointment and taking pictures and looking at everybody and getting together to while they are plotting, we are praying. And I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm not afraid of anyone. And this will not have me coming all the time. This is just ridiculous. The kids were talking about how we carry on. You know I was a friend of the previous mayor. Every time Linda Griffin and I came to meetings and where she was attending, nobody had nothing to say. Nobody. And so now since you have someone look like me and doing a great job, and so while they're attending, and don't respond, pray, stand, and the enemies can do us no harm. So continue to pray. God bless everyone, and continue to do a good work.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Michael Lupchuk, 1624 Country Club Drive, Lynnhaven. I actually live in the city of Lynnhaven and pay taxes to the city of Lynnhaven. And I don't give you permission to video me. Okay. You got a video right there. Still confused. But my very first meeting I went to about 3+ years ago, our prior mayor did nothing but repeat over and over disparaging remarks to our then city mayor, Vicky, over and over and over again. And I couldn't figure out why. And then it's fine that it's the same circle that she associated with, people that don't live in the city of Lynnhaven, that just have this negative aura that I just can't seem to grasp the fact that we've got so many positive things that are being done in the city of Lynnhaven that you've got that little tiny 0.5% that's still screaming like she was screaming 3+ years ago at a meeting, that we've got to let that go. I've been at social events and I've had pictures taken with people that I knew, that I sort of knew, that I casually knew, and a picture's taken. I just want to say thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Jesse, Mr. Aldridge, Mr. Perno. You don't have a name tag. Mrs. Judy, love the food. Jamie. But thank you for being positive. Thank you for driving things forward. Thank you for continuing to get things done. I can't believe how incredible our new hall is going to be there. The parks, the kids are out there playing, have a good time. We got music festivals going on. We got everything. And we don't have to worry about somebody was one time working sometime in a different department and down the same hall that they did, and they knew because they were in the same, and they were breathing that, and then they took a picture because they were in a party with a social group with a bunch of people. What the hell does that got to do with anything besides how great the city of Lynnhaven's doing right now? And I want to say thank you. Thank you for being positive, and thank you for the folks that have spoken in positive nature. From a resident of the city of Lynnhaven.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, sir.
Tony Bostic, 159 North Kimberly Avenue, Callaway, 32404. If you want to see me after the meeting, I'm always available. Now, what I find disingenuous is that we got some people in the city of Lynnhaven that can't find nothing to do but complain, moan, and groan all the time. And most of the time, 99% of the time, it's about something they have no idea what they're talking about. What I also find disingenuous and highly unchristian, since we all Christians, well, you know, Satan was created in heaven as well. But how did that turn out? You come from another county and you got something bad to say, take it back to the county you're from. Yeah, I said it. Now, you got the city manager of Lynnhaven, Miss Vicki Gaynor, the lowest paid city manager in Bay County, who had, well, number one, inherited the greatest headache that anybody could have ever wanted to inherit. Number two, has done an outstanding job of leading the city forward. Number three, there's only 2 municipalities in the county of Bay County who right now are on the move, doing great things in all the neighborhoods. Only 2. And they happen to be 2 of the smaller municipalities. One being the city of Lynnhaven under the leadership of Miss Vicki Gaynor Day to Day and Mayor Jesse Nelson. Now, what I find also highly unlikely is the same people that sitting here criticizing you supporting a former president who stole classified material. But that's Christian-like. So if you're gonna throw rocks, make sure you don't live in glass houses, okay? Now again, my address is 159 North Kimball Avenue. If you wanna come see me, please. Bring anybody you need with you, come and see me. Now, as far as taking pictures of me, I am a highly photogenic kind of guy. You can take all the pictures you want, and I won't say a word, because I stand on what I say, day in and day out. Mayor Nelson, you got one of the craziest jobs in the world. You a mayor and a preacher. Boy, you just love getting beat up, don't you? Keep doing what you're doing. Commissioners, you guys are doing a great job. Sometimes you're not going to always agree. I realize that. But look at the greater good you're doing for the greater number of people. An old guy once said, when one person say scat cat, another one say here kitty kitty.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Thank you for your public commentary. At this time, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Again, I'll keep it brief. Would like to highlight, although we're having evening meetings, the Mayor's Youth Council still did meet this month. Of course, we didn't meet for our evening meetings because there was a lot of scheduling conflict with the youth. They're in different sporting events, football, band, cross country, just other events that conflict with attending an evening meeting. So what we did do on the first Tuesday in this month, we attended 2 community forums. One community forum included the city manager of Panama City, the police chief, quality of life director, and some other department directors that were there to be able to engage in conversation about community concerns in Panama City. After that, we went to Florida State University, Panama City, and met with the Bancorp South Community Advisory Board and had lunch there with them, allowed an opportunity for Lynnhaven. I was the special guest speaker for that event, so was able to give an update on the great things we're doing in the city of Lynnhaven, and was also able to allow the students that attended the forum that day to introduce themselves and talk about their future and just how they've been engaging with the Mayor's Youth Council. As I mentioned previously, the Mayor's Youth Council does have their officers slated. So they have their president, vice president, secretary, social media director. So they're very excited. They're creating a small little charter, already getting ready to impeach some people who've missed a couple of meetings. And so they're taking this very seriously, and they're really learning and becoming engaged. So there is a Florida League of Cities Youth Council contest, video contest that's coming up in November. So at our next meeting, I'll be following up with them to see how we can participate in that video contest with the Mayor's Youth Council. Also enjoyed opening day a few weeks ago. So thank you to City Manager, Director of Sports and Recreational, Mr. David Howard, everyone that was able to come out and be a part of that day. I think we had over 400, 500 people that were there that day for opening day, and so I know the kids are having a lot of fun, and the parents too. And thank you to all the coaches that are volunteering. It's not easy getting out there, having to corral kids that are not your own. So thank you all for all the hard work that you're putting in, and so it's great to be able to go through and just see all the fun the families and kids are having during the week. Also just spent time since our last meeting just following up on concerns from citizens regarding the 9/11 flooding or the 9/11 storm, and so just followed up with several citizens on that. And then of course this week City Manager did send out an update, spent some time with her and staff all of Monday morning, really just making sure that we had everything prepared for Hurricane Ian, or Hurricane Ian. Thankfully, seemingly, it is shifted, so we may not be directly hit by it. However, we're prepared for it, and in talking with our chiefs, we're also prepared to deploy members of our first responders to go and help and support those other communities when the storm does hit. And so, again, thank you to City Manager, all the directors, just for all the the in-depth planning that went into making sure that we were prepared before the storm, that we were able to respond during the storm and immediately after the storm. So it was great to be a part of that briefing, just making sure that we were ready. So we're hoping that it's a dry run for us, is what we're hoping that it will be. So just want to express my appreciation for that as well. That is my report for today. This time, Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep mine brief as well, but of course, as the pastor mentioned, our thoughts and prayers are with the people in South and Central Florida. We certainly understand their plight, so I'm definitely feeling for those people today. The only other thing that I want to bring up today for the city, I'd like for us to look at possibly our procedures when it comes to the sandbags. And the reason I say that is I know we have business owners that are not residents in the city limits, but they do have businesses within the city limits. And I think one of them was turned away from getting sandbags, even though they had a business here. So I think we should review our policy maybe and look at letting people, if they can show that they have a business here, letting them get sandbags as well. And again, it was nothing intentional on the city's part. I understand that. We're looking out for citizens as best we can, our local citizens here. But again, people that have a business have an invested interest in Lynnhaven as well. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's a very good point. And that's something I'll make sure to follow with city manager on. I think, of course, part of the restrictions was put in place because we literally had individuals coming from every other municipality and reaching out to some of the other municipalities. They didn't plan on offering any sandbags. So I guess it sort of pushed everyone our way, but that's definitely a great recommendation. Thank you for that. And also, when you mentioned prayer, it sparked my memory to say, hey, let's not forget to pray for our staff members. Over these past few weeks, we've had several families of our staff that have been impacted by death. And so let's continue to pray for them. And they're still working. Okay, they're not taking long leaves, but they're still working for us every single day. Even when Hurricane Ian came, or we thought it was coming, they anchored down and dug in and worked even harder for us. So let's continue to pray for those who are working through their grief while trying to make sure they're serving the nearly 20,000 citizens of Lynnhaven. So let's keep our staff in prayer as well. Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I'd like to put the thoughts and prayers to everyone in the wake of the storm coming. I'd like to thank our military, our first responders, and all of our city employees and our citizens. Thank you for the people who took time to come tonight to let us know your thoughts. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the resiliency and the spirit of the citizens of Lynnhaven when it comes to times like these. I just hope that the people who are going to feel the devastation and the wrath of the storm have that same resolve that we did 4 years ago. So, and I know the other side of the coin is tough too when people see an opportunity to do harm. So, that being said, I just wish the best for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
I don't have a whole lot. This past Saturday, I had the time of the commissioner. Had about 6 people show up, and of course the big things we talked about: stormwater, the debt, and we did get in some passionate conversations. It was very educational, informative. It's always great to get feedback from the residents. I know I don't say it enough, but thank you to all the first responders, city staff for what you do. Especially if any of you, the first responders, end up going down south, please be safe. And I think that's all I have. Thanks.
You're not going to tell us about the Moat Highland thing?
The Moat Highlands thing? No. No, and I did go to the fall opening day for baseball, and that was a great time. So I'm always like going to that, seeing the smiles on the kids, and plus I get a free T-shirt, so that's pretty cool.
That's right. Commissioner Tender.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had a few situations come up in the last 2 weeks. The first I have to share is on the light side. I got a phone call from an 11-year-old And he refers to me as Grammy J. And he says, Grammy, are you still a commissioner? I said, yes, I am. He said, well, I need your help. I said, oh my, what do you need? He said, I don't like the uniforms. Where I have to go to school, they won't let me wear any sweatshirt I want. Can you call them and make that change? And he was serious. Anyway, I said, I wish I could, but you're not even in a school in Lynnhaven, so I can't do anything about that. One of the other issues that I've been dealing with, and I think I might have brought this to Bobby's attention, 612 Colorado, the drainage issue. The drain is very full, but they keep putting dirt in it, and every time it rains, the dirt just goes down. So, and it just keeps filling it up. That was one of the issues. I want to thank Ty Ferris. I had a resident call me, and she not only called with a complaint, but she called with a resolution. And she had gone to the opening day at Kane Griffin and went in the gate, didn't think anything about where and how many gates there were. And she went to leave and couldn't find her car. Of course, the cars, and I'm sure parking, was horrendous. But anyway, she said, don't you think they could maybe put numbers on the gates? So when you go in, you know you're at gate 2 or 3 or whatever. She said, I could have found my car. This poor lady ended up calling family to come and help her find her car because she couldn't find it. But Ty took care of it right away, and now that the budget's passed and we can get those few signs up, I really appreciate it. 390 in Harvard. I have videos, I have photos. I yesterday received about 4 phone calls, one after in between every video. It seems that somebody tried to develop some land there without getting a development order. And Vicki and I've already I've spoke with Amanda about it. And what's happened is I got the videos from the people who live behind this piece of property. And they have removed every tree. They have brought in loads of dirt. And they did send videos of which I just forwarded to Vicki here a few minutes ago. The dirt they brought in is so much higher than their property, and they live on the street behind them. It's now just washing down. The last rain we had, all the mud was in these people's backyard, and they've got privacy fences up. Anyway, it's a nightmare for them. Kind of a difficult issue with this is this one lot, or this one piece of property on 390 is in the city of Lynnhaven. It was annexed years ago. How and why, I have no idea. But the property behind that's having all the problems, they're in the county. So it's creating a huge issue. They did yesterday go out and put a stop work order to stop the people. Like I say, all the trees are gone, and when they were calling me every hour, here comes another load of dirt, here comes another load of gravel. They haven't stopped them yet. And it was like, and I'm getting emails that we have stopped them, but yet they're going to backhoe still here and all this kind of thing. I do believe it has stopped. And Amanda has met with them today regarding a development order, so that they're going to start working on it legally, and we might get the water management folks involved to have the drainage situation addressed before these people are underwater. That was a biggie for me because I dealt with that all day yesterday. Hawks Landing, where's that police chief at? He's not far away. Today I dealt with a family, and they're not the only ones, going into Hawks Landing for Bay Haven. They showed pictures. They left and went took pictures and sent them to me. What's happening, I guess, the parents are lining up too deep on the one lane, causing the people who live in there to go around them into the oncoming traffic. And anyway, they're really hot. They're really complaining about it. They said that at one point they were denied another entrance or whatever. Is there anything that we can do about that?
Yes, ma'am. I had a roundtable meeting at Bay Haven about 1.5 years ago with them.
Awesome.
Ms. Gaynor met with them, and the solution is to take their median out and give them a direct shot. Their HOA board does not want that to happen. Not the city commission, not the police chief,
Okay.
not the city manager, but their HOA. We gave them drawings, a solution, how to fix their problem, and they'd rather see the beautiful little flowers out there than be able to get in their neighborhood.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, because one of the people that came said she was going to come to the meeting after she spoke to the HOA. So she'll get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And the last thing I have, I'm sorry, you can stay there. The last thing I have, because you're the only person that can straighten this up for me. I received a phone call and a message the other day. I guess it's since, and I'm a little behind on all this court business and all the stuff that we've been talking about, but I received a message that you had made some ugly comments regarding my sexuality to another city employee. Is that true? You're the only one that can answer it.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. Thank you. I'm finished. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, commissioners, for your reports. City manager.
Yes. Now for some great stuff that's going on today. We have our pinning that I would like to ask the chief of police, and these people have been waiting a while to come up and talk about some of the promotions we have in store.
If I could, I'd like to have Corporal Grogan and Alex Vanananda come forward. So we had a sergeant's position open, and we also had a corporal's position that was open, and so we had a written examination as well as an oral board that took place, and it was unanimous that Corporal Grogan will now be promoted to sergeant in patrol. And I have his beautiful wife Stephanie here, and Marissa, Alex's wife. I need them to come forward. And let's have a pinning ceremony for them both. Congratulations.
I want to thank you all for all of the support from the other officers and family members that are here. These guys work really, really hard, truly deserve every bit of recognition and promotion. It's a great day, and thank you again, guys, for all that you do, and we support you 100%, so thank you very much. Secondly, about the sandbags, I know that Mr. Janke actually sent out an email to many of the businesses telling them that sandbags were available. And we did have to kind of corral in the sandbags because we had people coming from other cities to get sandbags and sand from the city of Lynnhaven. And so thank you, Ben, for sending that email out, letting them know that that was available. And we were very much prepared for this storm. We've been planning for a while. Staff have been working very hard to get prepared if it came this way. And I just want to say a big thank you to them. We had a great opening day. It's probably the largest crowd I've seen since I've been here in a while. I think also that the basketball registration. That's getting ready to get underway. A great basketball celebration and the league is getting ready to start. I want to thank Mowat Middle School for allowing us to do that. Right now we don't have a gym, and so it's really important that we give our kids some extracurricular activities to get out there and play whenever possible. We are working on several projects right now. As you know, when the budget passes, we do have where we're looking at a regional stormwater plan. I think Commissioner Perno has been very instrumental in helping us get with Regency. We have a meeting next week so that we can put that in place. That is going to be just huge to the city of Lynnhaven when we do get that regional stormwater. It'll take a while, but the end result is going to be amazing. We're hoping that this will be kind of our pilot program, and then once this one gets off, maybe we can find another place within the city to have a regional stormwater system in place, because that's one of the things that's very, very important. Before I go on with my report, Kiki, if you'll come up and answer any questions for the city, the commission.
Good evening. Questions about the warrant list?
You answered mine already.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So also, just a few clarifications. No, I've never been the assistant to the city manager at all. I have been interim HR director, contracts manager, deputy city clerk, and just so you clarify, the deputy city clerk is the person who takes care of all of the clerical work. That doesn't mean that they are the person next in charge. It surely does not show up in my personnel record that I am assistant to the city manager. It surely didn't get that kind of pay. So no, I've never been. And it's interesting that just this morning, there were some people who spoke that said, you know, don't believe anything the media says. Yes, you quote the media and things that are incorrect. So that is something that is absolutely not true. You know, the rest of the things I'm not going to even respond to, because I'm not going to go that low in order to do that. My priority is the city of Lynnhaven, and that's where I'm going to keep my priority. Yes, there will be slander. Yes, there will be public lynching on me because of the fact that you just don't like me. That's fine. I'm all right with that. But my priority is always going to be the city of Lynnhaven. And so, you know, when these things come out, much of it is very untrue, but I don't have any control over that. And so the citizens have put me here, the commission has put me here. I'm gonna stay here and see the job through, no matter how hard it gets. And yes, does it get hard sometimes? Yes, when you're constantly beat up by people and saying things that are untrue. But I'm gonna keep on doing what I do, because before Mr. Miller died, he said, you finish the job that you've done, that you're doing. And I'm gonna do that with or without the people who support me. So thank you very much, and that's my report.
Thank you. City Attorney?
I did have one correction on the consent agenda for the city manager contract. I know it's a hot topic. I wish we would have caught this Friday. But there actually was as you remember, she has a base salary plus whatever cost of living other employees get. When her last pay raise took place, it was in the middle of a budget year, and so that was the base salary. But I got confirmation from Jennifer, the HR director, that there was a cost of living increase effective October 1, 2021. So we actually circulated, and I think it was published again this afternoon, just a correction to that First Amendment, recognizing the actual base salary as the $143,499. But again, it's all this contract does is extends it 4 years, but we wanted to recognize the correct number in there, and we missed that on Friday. So that's been updated.
All right. Thank you.
That's all.
Any additional questions for the city attorney? This time we have our consent agenda. Minutes from 9/14/2022. Approval for the city manager to sign the settlement agreement for Avasta versus Lynnhaven. and approval of a resolution 222-09-398, approving an amendment to the employment agreement with Vicky Gaynor. Any concerns with the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to ask that we take out number 11 so we can, excuse me, discuss it a little more.
You'd like to discuss number 11? All right, we'll.
You mean 11 or 12?
I mean 11, approval for the city manager.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's number 12.
so that'll be number 11, approval for the city manager to sign the settlement agreement for Avasta versus Lynnhaven. So agenda item number 11 will become agenda item number 13A. I'm going by what she said, Commissioner Ward. Agenda item number 11 will become agenda item number 13A.
No, you're absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
Okay,
I will withdraw that request. That is for Vicky to give approval to Avasta.
correct.
Number 11, I don't have a problem with that at all.
It's number 12.
Yeah, it is number 12. I'm sorry. Number
Okay,
12.
so-
If we could just discuss it a little more.
All right, we'll remove agenda item number 12 to agenda item number 13A. All right, is there approval for the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
All right, approval by, motion by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 13A, approval of resolution 2022-09-398, approving an amendment to the employment agreement with Vicky Gaynor. City Attorney.
Okay. Yeah, so we did a resolution, and we're looking at a 4-year contract extension that would be effective in January of 2023. All other terms remain the same, and as I mentioned earlier, we did correct to her current annual salary. That became effective October 1 of 2021. So this is 4-year extension, no other changes.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Tender.
Yes, I have to voice what I'm hearing from the public. I have received emails and things of this nature. And it's not saying that you are doing anything wrong or anything like that, but there are concerns. And I guess it all does have to do with all this stuff that's coming out in the last couple of days. So I'd like to make a motion that we just table it, for a month or two.
Are we discussing it still, or?
She made a motion.
Okay.
All right, no second. Motion dies. All right, but it's still open for discussion.
I move to approve Ms. Vicky Gaynor's contract.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. Discussion.
So I received a couple emails, Facebook messages, and I just want everyone to understand where I am with this. I know one of the concerns is the last court filing that came out with some of the things that's said in there. And I even called Vicky Gaynor. I said, look, I just need to know what really happened. And she told me, does that mean she didn't do it? No, I hope that she didn't. Does that mean she did it? No, it didn't mean she did it. So I think some of the people's concerns is what happens if the FBI came down, did a federal indictment. God forbid you got arrested, something like that. Well, if I understand it correctly, Mr. Obos, if that were to happen, we can suspend her without pay. And if she was found guilty, we would have no obligation to give her a severance package, correct?
Right, under the contract. And remember, even though you have an employment contract, city manager, city attorney are still
Right.
political appointees at the will of the commission.
Right.
But yeah, you're right.
Okay. And I can't, out of good conscience, make a decision on what I think or believe what happened. I have to know, and I have to back it up with facts and data. And hopefully, whenever this trial gets done, we will know the facts. There's a possibility we'll never know, and God forbid if that happens, but I really want to know. And so that's where I stand with it. I just want everyone to understand that.
I do have a question for the commissioners. Did anyone contact you via email, telephone, text message, Facebook Messenger regarding the city manager's contract?
I had one email.
One email?
I had 0.
I had one email, one Facebook message.
Yeah,
I don't
email and one Facebook and a phone call.
May I speak, Mayor, based on what you just said, Commissioner Wark? I understand, I understand that you want to know the facts, but also we're basing this off a court filing on a case that has not gone to trial and been delayed and delayed and delayed. If we hung our shoes on this, we would pass the deadline for what we need to do to negotiate her contract, based on the way, where things are going right now. I've got personal feelings, and I think the grade of the score sheet is how this woman's done as city manager, and what she's done. So, and her contract is based on performance, and I see no reason not to grant her the extension that she deserves. So that's my feelings. I'm ready to vote.
All right. Any other discussion? Public commentary?
Tony Boston, 159 North Kimbrough. And just for fair disclosure, some 15 plus years ago when I worked at the sheriff's office, Bay County Sheriff's Office, I got pictures with Chief Ricky Raymond there, just so you'll know. But what is the discussion? If the old people said if a bullfrog had a glass butt, he'd be more careful about how he hop around. This lady has given you nothing but the best since she's been here. I can't help what the former mayor did. I don't care what Mr. White did. And you just watch what I'm telling you. Everything is going to hinge on the dead man now, because dead men tell no lies. Matter of fact, dead men don't say anything. 2 current defendants right now have merged it. They filed a court motion to merge their cases together, thought they could get away with it. When it becomes no longer convenient for them, now they want to separate them again. So what's the discussion about Ms. Gaynor? So far, nobody from the FBI or any other federal agency or even any local agency has accused her of anything other than a bunch of knuckleheads out here in the community. And all of those have been proven wrong. So I think your decision today is pretty cut and dry and simple. She's done an outstanding job. She's given you no reason to doubt anything that she's said, done, or might do. If you're going to go by what happens, maybe she get tired one day and just say, you know what, I had enough of this. But let's hope for the better sake of Lynnhaven that she doesn't. She's been in this job, 3 years maybe? 3? She's took more browbeating than anybody in Bay County. And I think that's highly unfair. Yeah, I know. I'm not a resident of Lynnhaven, but I have family members here that own property here. I spend my money in Lynnhaven, so I think that entitles me to my say in Lynnhaven. Other things that are far more cut and dry. I have heard absolutely zero opposition from board members. I've heard absolutely zero opposition from the general public. So when, as Mr. Spock say in Star Trek, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever is left, however improbable, has got to be the truth. So what's the truth of this matter? Do I need to call it out? Or does your conscience convict you of what the truth really is in this? It's time to quit playing games, Lynnhaven. You talk about wanting leadership and you want to do a great job. You got leadership here. Why not support it? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why not support great leadership? Now, the former leadership of Lynnhaven, I distinctly remember, or I should say I don't remember, ever this kind of opposition. And you guys knew what these cats were doing from day one. It wasn't no big secret. Whether you were on the commission then or whether you were getting ready to run for the commission. You knew, but yet there was no opposition to it. Now here we are with Miss Vicki Gaynor, one of the hardest working people in local government, and all she get is browbeaten from a certain portion of those that be. And I think that's absolutely horrendous. I think that's a shame. I know it's unchristian-like, and I'm pretty sure it's immoral on a whole lot of levels. So check yourself in the mirror before you start throwing stones at her, because she does a good job. Chief Ricky Ramey over there, been knowing him 20 years almost. He's always been a man of honor. Never gave me a reason to doubt him. Do I go to a lot of city commission meetings? I go to commission meetings for everybody in Bay County. And you guys might want to think about how you're doing your contract. This is the only city manager in the entire county that needs to have a renewal brought before the city commission. City of Panama City just gave their city manager a big fat pay raise. Didn't have to extend his contract through the city commission. Might want to come into the 21st century on some other things. Just my little note from the GED section.
Thank you. Additional commentary?
Jody Moore on Amherst Street. And Mr. Bostic, I can give you my address too if you want to come to my
Please
house
address
and
your
speak.
comments to me. Thank you.
He addressed me earlier, or those
Please
of us
address
who
your
want to come
comments
to
to
his
me.
house. I just have a couple of comments to make. I wasn't planning on speaking again. I have nothing personal against anybody up here. No, I don't. I do not. I have nothing personal. I'm looking at paperwork. I'm looking at what I have seen when I have extensively studied this situation, okay? It is nothing personal. And then, again, the whole thing about racism has raised its head again. Y'all need to stop. Nobody is racist, okay? I don't,
Hold on one second.
I don't care for Michael White either.
Wait.
Okay?
No one up here
Yes.
has said anything about racism. You're saying y'all need to stop it.
It was-
And directing your comments
It was
towards
said earlier
me.
by someone here in the audience.
I never said anything about racism.
I didn't say you did.
You're
Okay.
saying y'all and directing your comments towards us. No one spoke about racism today. We don't talk about
Okay,
that
you're taking
here,
my
so-
time, but I appreciate it. No, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but it was said in the audience earlier. And that needs to stop, okay? It is untrue, all right? And I don't care if...
But that's everybody's opinion. You get up and
I
give
don't
your
care if Ms.
opinions,
Gaynor thinks
and
that I
everyone
have
gives their
anything against
opinion
her
as well.
personally. I've never been anything but cordial to her. This has nothing to do with it. I'm looking at court documentation, okay? And I did not slander anybody. I am very careful not to say that. I don't want anybody doing that to me, so I would not do that to someone else. I am speaking directly from court documentation. Yes, this is testimony that was given, okay? Mr. Albritton gave testimony, and that's where that's coming from about fixing that score sheet, okay? Which, if that did happen, that was wrong, and it should not have happened. That's corruption, all right? It would be if it happened. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying that's court documentation. That raises questions in my mind. I don't think you have to do the contract for 4 years. Why don't you do it for a year, 6 months? Let's see what happens with this situation. But again, as the attorney has said, maybe that's a moot point because, you know, if this all does come out and something was wrong, you can fire Ms. Gitt. And listen, I hope that's not true. Everybody acts like I want to come up here and just be upset and angry and just confrontational all the time. And maybe that's what you all think. I don't like doing this. I wish this was not this way. Okay? I really do. I wish this was not like this. But I'm not going to sit here when there's corruption going on, when there's bad things that are happening. Ms. Gaynor has actually done some good things in the city, and I've given her credit for that. All right? There are some good things that have happened under her leadership. There's also been some bad things that have happened. Okay? But if you look back, nobody's getting a pass for what they did after Hurricane Michael when the corruption happened. Nobody's getting a pass for that. Is Margo Anderson getting a pass? Is James Finch getting a pass for that? All right? So you can't say, oh, okay, well, you know, that was then, this is now, look at the great things I'm doing right now. You can't do that. Margo Anderson, she's been indicted, all right? She was accused of things, and so has James Finch. Thank you. Thank you. She's been accused of things too. But has she been convicted of anything? Okay, she hasn't been. So guess what? She should be sitting in your seat right now. If you want to look at it that way, she should still have her job. That's incorrect. Nothing's been proven against her. And in fact, if you really look at all the evidence like I have, she is not guilty in my opinion, okay? We will find out when this all goes to court, and let me tell you, I said this a few months ago, there's a lot of truth that's gonna hit the fan very soon, and you all are gonna find out. If Ms. Gaynor did nothing wrong, I am very happy for that. I will be very happy for you, okay? I'll be happy if nobody up here did anything wrong. Believe me, I don't go looking for bad things to happen. And I do want to point out one thing. Mr. Leon Miller's widow got up here. Mr. Miller was a great man, and he was always very kind to me. And I really liked him a whole lot. And I respected him, and I respect his wife. But I want to point out, he supported you, but Margaret Anderson supported you too. Do you remember that? I was here. She stood up for you, she fought for you, and she wanted you in the position that you're in. So you all just remember that when you want to beat up on other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public commentary about this particular agenda item? This is not Tallahassee. We're not up here making a defense for anybody. This is not a courtroom. Okay? Is there any more additional public commentary about what we're voting on? This has nothing to do with Margot Anderson, James Finch, or anything that's happening with the trial. So stop making my meeting about that. You continue to come to every meeting making it about that. It's not about that. Okay, this is about the city of Lynnhaven business. Whatever's happening in Tallahassee, let Tallahassee take care of that. You don't have to come here to make a defense for anyone. Justice will be served. So do not continue to come in here with that. If your public comments are not about this particular agenda item or whatever agenda item we're discussing, I will call you out of order and ask you to be removed.
I will just say this. Everybody has a right to an opinion as it pertains to a contract for a city employee. And that's democracy. It isn't your meeting. It's everyone's meeting. I wish you would remember that, Mayor. This is a democracy.
I do remember that.
You just said this is your meeting. Sir, with all due respect, it is not. Everyone has a right to an opinion concerning a contract, a valuable
But we're not
asset.
talking about contracts.
No.
The last comments and other comments are dealing with things that are not dealing with this contract. No one has gotten up here talking about this contract.
I would agree, sir. I would agree. But there were other comments as well that was before the last comment. And you should have called it out then, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary.
Corey Langford, 1112 Louisiana. Thank you for what you've done as the city manager for Lynnhaven. You know, some of these things are things that are said are difficult to hear, and I'm sure they're difficult to say as well. But I appreciate us having the forum to at least have a civilized and adult discussion about it. Thank you for what you said. I think it's legitimate to look at, hey, look, let's look at everything to figure out, hey, if this happens, oh, okay, we go X, Y, and Z. So my only question was, I wish that someone would say, like, hey, what was the last contract extension, or what's the norm? Is 4 years the normal, or is it typically 1 year and then now we're going to 4 or something? So that would be the only question I had for everyone. You don't have to answer now, but thank you all for everything y'all do. Ms. Gaynor, I really appreciate what you do for the city of Lynnhaven. And you know, look, we've all had allegations against us for whether they were true or not. And you know, the chips will fall where they may. And but I definitely don't think that that you deserve anybody to jump to any conclusions. But we do have a plan B, like you said, if something bad happens. So thank y'all, appreciate it.
Thank you. City Attorney.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the original contract was a 3-year term, and then with that 3-month negotiation period, and this one's a 4-year term. I wouldn't say there's any norm. I think a lot of city manager contracts are automatically renew. You know, they're 1 year, they automatically renew. Some are 5 years. There's no standard that I can think of. But the first one was 3, this one's 4.
All right. Mind if I just make a quick comment? I went around and I looked at a bunch of contracts for city managers around Florida, and he's right, there's a vast array. I thought I would see a certain trend. There's actually quite a few that I found that there is no term. There's no expiration date. It's just whenever they decide to retire or quit, or the commission decides that they want to fire them. Am I right? You probably
There's a lot.
seen those.
There's quite a few that there is no written contract, because
Right.
again, just like me, you're just a political appointee and you're 3 votes away, no
and-
matter what
and
the
I-
contract says.
And I also looked at the severance package, and I've seen some of them. I've seen some that are 12 months severance. I'm like, holy cow. And then some, I know ours is broken down depending on how many vote to terminate, and I don't see that in very many of them. Most of them I see where if they decide to terminate, no matter how many people vote for it, it's normally about 5-6 months is what I've seen. So ours is, I think it's 3 if it's 5 months, if 4 it's 4 months, and then 5 it's 6 weeks, something like that. So hope that answers some of your questions.
All right, City Manager, if you call the vote, please.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 13, public hearing for final reading of ordinance number 1140, application for annexation for parcel number 11537-020-000, Highway 389, Preston Ray Homes. Public hearing opens at 6:42 p.m. City Manager, if you read.
Ordinance number 1140, an ordinance annexing into the municipal limits, City of Lynnhaven, Florida, certain contiguous compact unincorporated land located in Bay County, Florida, for an approximate 4.59 acres plus or minus of property, parcel number 11537-020-000, as is more particularly described herein pursuant to Florida statutes, section 171.044, amending the boundaries of the city to include said land, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, and reciting an effective date.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is an annexation request, ordinance number 1140, final reading, public hearing. The applicant, Pros Construction, Preston Ray Homes. The agent is Chris Short, Dewberry LLC, who is here tonight if you have any questions. The parcel number is 11537-020-000. The location is 4231 Highway 389, and the property size is approximately 4.59 acres. The property is contiguous to the city on the west and south sides, and water and sewer is available. It will not create an enclave. This shows the property here outlined in red on Highway 389. This shows the properties that are currently in the city and those that are in unincorporated Bay County. So the green is City of Lynnhaven and the white is unincorporated Bay County. The red arrow is showing you the location of the parcel that they're requesting be annexed in. So you can see that actually what it will do, it will reduce an enclave, because those parcels are actually currently now surrounded by city, so it will actually make an enclave smaller.
Any questions for Ms. Amanda? Any questions for the representatives?
Nope.
All right, any questions from the public? All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closes 6:45 p.m. Agenda item number 14, public hearing open at 6:45 p.m. for the final reading of ordinance number 1141, application for future land use map amendment, parcel number 11537-020-000, Bay County residential to City of Lynnhaven low density residential. City Manager.
Ordinance number 1141, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida Statutes of a land use change from Bay County residential to City of Lynnhaven low-density residential for an approximate 4.59 acres plus or minus of the property located at 4231 Highway 389 in the City of Lynnhaven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
This is Ordinance 1141, which is the request for a future land use map amendment. It is the final reading and public hearing. So just to remind everybody, when a property is brought into the city, it has to be given a city future land use map designation, because in the county, it has a county land use map designation. So the owner here again is Preston Ray Holmes, the agent Raywat P. Ray and Chris Short from Dewberry, and Chris is here tonight. Parcel number 11537-020-000. The location 4231 Highway 389. Parcel size approximately 4.59 acres. The existing future land use category is Bay County residential. The requested future land use category is City of Lynnhaven low density residential. And I just want to mention here that under the land use it has at the moment in Bay County, they could actually build 8 dwelling units per acre, whereas the requested land use, City of Lynnhaven low density residential, they could only build up to 4.99 units per acre. So it is actually a reduction in the number of units that would be allowed on that property. The adjacent future land use map designations are to the north, Bay County residential, south, Lynnhaven low density residential, east, Bay County residential, and west, Lynnhaven low density residential. So the land use that they're asking for is consistent with the land use that is on 2 sides currently. This again is the property, the location, the aerial map. This red arrow on the left-hand side identifies the property and shows that it is residential, Bay County, and it shows the properties surrounding it being Lynnhaven low-density residential. If you approve the land use change, it will look like this. So low-density residential will be consistent with those properties that are in Lynnhaven, which are surrounding it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Amanda? All right. Any discussion from the public? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Ward. I'll give Commissioner Tender that one. Second by Commissioner Tender. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closes 6:48 p.m. Public hearing open 6:48 p.m. Final reading of 1142, application for annexation, parcel number 11352-010-000, East Highway 390, Southern Coastal Homes. City Manager.
An ordinance number 1142, an ordinance annexing into the municipal limits on the City of Lynnhaven, Florida, certain contiguous compact unincorporated land located in Bay County, Florida, for an approximate 9.29 acres of plus or minus of property, parcel number 11352-010-000, as is more particularly described herein, pursuant to Florida statutes, section 171.044, amending the boundaries of the city to include said land, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, reciting an effective date.
Thank you.
This is a request for an annexation, ordinance number 1142. This is a final reading public hearing. The applicant, Southern Coastal Homes, Inc. The agent is John Lewis and also Chris Short from Dewberry. Parcel number 11352-010-000. The location 3649 Highway 390, and the property size is approximately 9.29 acres. It is contiguous on the west and north sides with the city of Lynnhaven. There is water and sewer available, and it will not be creating an enclave. This arrow identifies the parcel. You can see the municipal boundaries there. Let me see if I can get this to work. Yeah, so this is the parcel here. This is Grants Mills. So Grants Mills is not coming in, it's just this parcel here. The green is city, and the white is currently county. Thank you. And can I just say at this point also, sorry, I forgot to mention on the prior two, even though it was in your packets, that the Planning Commission did vote approval on all the items that I'll be presenting tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Amanda? Any discussion from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, first, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Tender. City Manager, if you call the vote, please.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Commissioner
Excuse
Tender.
me, Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closed 6:51 p.m. Public hearing open 6:51 p.m. Final reading of ordinance number 1143, application for future land use map amendment, parcel number 11352-010-000, Bay County residential to City of Lynnhaven, low density residential. City Manager, if you'll please read.
Ordinance number 1143, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes of a land use change from Bay County residential to the City of Lynnhaven low-density residential for an approximate 9.29 plus or minus acres of property located at 3649 Highway 390 in the City of Lynnhaven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
This is ordinance number 1143, a future land use map amendment request. This is the final reading public hearing. The owner, Southern Coastal Homes, agent John Lewis, and also Chris Short from Dewberry, who is here tonight. Parcel number 11352-010-000. The location is 3649 Highway 390, and the parcel size is approximately 9.29 acres. The existing future land use category is Bay County residential. The requested future land use category is City of Lynnhaven low density residential. So again, currently they would be allowed to have 8 dwelling units per acre under the county. But if you approve the low-density residential land use, it would be only up to 4.99 units per acre, so a reduction in dwelling units. The adjacent future land use map designations are as follows. To the north is City of Lynnhaven low-density residential. South is Bay County residential. East is Bay County residential, that's Grants Mills. And to the west is Lynnhaven low-density residential. So again, the land use map designation that they're requesting is consistent with the Lynnhaven properties that are adjacent. This aerial map shows the location with the red arrow of the property. This shows the yellow, currently Bay County, and you can see the City of Lynnhaven low-density residential on the north and the west sides. If you approved the land use map amendment, the land use would be consistent with the Lynnhaven properties on the north and on the west.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Amanda? Questions for the representatives? All right. Questions from the public? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Public hearing closed. 6:55 p.m. Moving on to new business. Quasi judicial public hearing open at 6:55 p.m. for discussion and possible approval of application for development order parcel numbers 09054-000-000 and 09055-000-000 Majors Smokehouse LLC. City Attorney.
As you said, it's a quasi-judicial hearing, so if this time, if the commission would disclose any ex parte communications they've had with the developer.
Had none.
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 Okay. And then if you're going to give testimony on this, if you'll raise your right hand and swear that their testimony is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay. Got them. We have two in the audience, too. Okay.
And City Manager, if you would read.
This is development order. So
Okay, my bad.
There's no, yeah. This is a development order application request for Majors Smokehouse. The applicant is Majors Smokehouse LLC. The agent is Doug Crook with Panhandle Engineering, who is here this evening if you have any specific questions. The location is 316 Pennsylvania Avenue. Two parcels involved, one larger parcel and one smaller parcel, 09054-000-000 and 09055-000-000. The property size is approximately 0.6 acres and the future land use designation is mixed use. It is in the corridor overlay, and so therefore the CRA director has approved the aesthetics of the building. It is not in the corridor overlay. The site is currently vacant. Project engineer is Doug Crook with Panhandle Engineering, and the reviewing engineer is Chris Short with Dewberry, who is also here. What's being proposed and what's being requested is a 1,500 square foot restaurant with accompanying parking, landscaping, and infrastructure improvements. This shows the location. Both of these parcels that are in red shows the location of the proposed restaurant. This is the site plan. You can see that there is going to be entrance and exit on 4th Street as well as on Pennsylvania Avenue. And this is the restaurant here. The stormwater pond and the landscaping surrounding the stormwater pond will be along Highway 77. This is what the building is proposed to look like. And these are some color renderings. These were the first ones that were submitted, but they didn't have all the architectural details. So these are the colors, but these ones that I just showed you have got a bit more detail, some things that Ben requested on here that the first ones they submitted didn't, but these are going to be the colors. And then the color list, because I know some people were interested in what the actual colors were. So the siding is classic khaki, the trim is cozy white, and the columns and beams are like an almond color. And then the roof is a Sierra tan. And this is the landscape plan that has been submitted. So they are going to have quite a few trees along this side here, which is going to be a buffer between their parcel and the parcel to the north of them.
Is that going to be the color of the trees?
No, sir. That's so that I can identify them when I have to go out and look to make sure they put the right things in the right place.
All right. Any questions? Mr. Doug, if you would come up for us, please. We had some questions during our pre-commission meeting, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Commissioner Tender.
Hey there. My main concern is the fact that the back of the restaurant's going to be facing Highway 77. And Commissioner Aldridge has been working very hard at the aesthetics of Highway 77, and this is going to be the first building that they see coming over the Bailey Bridge. I realize you can't turn it around, I guess, but do you have any idea of what type and how tall the trees or whatever are going to be along Highway 77, so that that's not something that we have to look at the back of the building for?
I don't know off the top of my head how tall those trees will be when planted. Typically, they're on the smaller size when they're newly planted, just because, for cost reasons. As far as the back of the building, if there was a side that could be considered the back, it would be the north side. The side of the building facing 77, that's where there's outdoor eating. That'll be, it's not the front entrance, but it's more of a front of house look of the building. The south side is actually the main entrance. So there won't be a back of house, restaurant area. I know what you're thinking of. That won't be facing 77. There will be the cooking portion, the smoker will be on the north side.
Okay, so the smoker's not going to be...
Correct. The smoker will be off the northeast corner, but on the north side of the building.
Okay. And obviously, we have shrubbery, we have requirements that they have to follow as far as... Thank you.
Yeah, they're falling under the CRA guidelines, correct? They're falling under the CRA, which...
Yes, they are.
So that yep. Which is the overlay we're going to have basically for 77, hopefully, if it passes, so...
I also had somebody question me about this, a resident, saying that they're concerned on the parking situation coming off of Pennsylvania, those apartments that are right across the street from this location. They're concerned that people, and I'm not sure why, I'm just repeating what their concern was, that people were going to be parking on the street on Pennsylvania. How many parking places do they have allotted? Looks like.
You mean
6,
parking
7?
on the street for the restaurant?
That's what their concern was, yeah. But it looks like you have 5, 6, 7, 8.
Not only are we meeting the minimum parking requirements for this size of a restaurant, I think there are 1 or 2 extra spaces, and we've also added 3 golf cart spaces to help, because we anticipate there being golf cart traffic. So we squeezed in a few golf cart spaces above and beyond the minimum parking requirement. They weren't counted towards the parking requirement.
Okay, and that is the dumpster that's going to be on the corner of 4th in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Is that correct?
There's not really a good place to put it. You got road frontage on 3 sides.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Doug? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion from the public? Yes, sir.
Sam Peebles, 1902 Carolina Avenue. I just want to encourage you guys to approve majors just because I think it'll be great for the city. It's a win-win-win. I mean, it's right there on where folks from Southport will be coming in to see it. We've got people from Lynnhaven. So from a financial standpoint, we're going to be getting tax dollars of money that people want to spend to be there from not only the city of Lynnhaven, but also Southport as well. And the selfish part of me, I lived in South Carolina for 3 years when I was in the Air Force, and there wasn't a good barbecue spot. And I'd really like to have Major's Barbecue close to the house. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public commentary? All right, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Ward. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Hearing closes at 7:04 p.m. Agenda item number 18, first reading of ordinance number 1135, proposed amendments to the City of Lynnhaven Unified Land Development Code, adding section 3.02.06 Deer Point Reservoir Protection Zone. First reading by title only. City Manager.
An ordinance of the City of Lynnhaven, Florida, adding section 3.02 .06 entitled the Deer Point Reservoir Protection Zone to the Unified Land Development Code, providing for allowable uses, density restrictions, impervious surface standards, setback requirements, stormwater treatment standards, allowing for exemptions and prohibiting septic tanks in the protection zone, repealing provisions of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for codification, and reciting an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney.
Okay, and this, like I said, is a first reading, won't require a vote. I know Amanda has a presentation, but we can wait until we do the final reading on that. I know we discussed it Friday. This Bay County already has a Deer Point Protection Zone. They've approached us. We actually have something in our comp plan about it. So this ordinance will just put it in our land development code. In the event any of this area gets annexed into the city, and it's up there off the dam road just north of the Bayou Park, that they would have to comply with these to protect the Deer Point watershed. So it's
Any additional questions for City Attorney or for Ms. Amanda? All right. Thank you. Agenda item number 19, discussion and possible approval of resolution 2022-09-394, approving a state-funded grant agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, for road improvements, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Resolution number 2022-09-349, a resolution of the City of Lynnhaven, Florida, approving a state-funded grant agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, that's FDOT, for road improvements, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
City Attorney.
This is a simple resolution authorizing the city manager to sign the grant agreement with FDOT for our Phase 3 roadway repairs, which is the legislatively funded roadway repairs. There's $2 million authorized, up to $2 million authorized, so their match is up to $1 million, so this could be up to a $1 million grant, and the road segments are listed in the body of the ordinance.
Thank you.
So
any
moved.
discussion?
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Second. Let's spend that money. I make a motion, yeah.
Second.
All right, so motion by Commissioner Tender, second by Commissioner Perno. Any discussion from the commission?
Mayor,
Yes.
I don't have any discussion about this, but before we adjourn, can I make one little thing?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, any discussion from the public? No discussion. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Commissioner Tender?
I just want to bring up, to be on record, that at our next pre-meeting on whatever Friday, that we actually have a little open discussion about stopping the pre-meeting. I know that sounds crazy, but you know, we started it, and I think it was a good idea, but I think we also started it with the intention that we would try it for 3 to 6 months or something like that and see how it's going. I have an issue personally with the fact that we get educated, but I don't feel transparent when we meet on Friday mornings. And I can't tell you how many times tonight, even Kevin Obos has said, well, remember we discussed it on Friday. I feel like we leave a lot to be, how do I want to say? The public doesn't know what we talked about on Friday necessarily, you know, and I feel like it's good to get into the depths of all that, but I also feel like we need to discuss it again to see if it's serving the purpose that it was intended.
Isn't it?
I just wanted to throw
Isn't
that
it
out.
recorded? It's recorded, right? Like it's videoed and recorded for the public.
But yes, we'll, yes, it
think-
is recorded and it's made available on our YouTube. It's audio recorded and made available on YouTube. And I believe it's actually live. So it's live, recorded, and then posted. Yes, sir.
How do y'all feel about it?
Well, you know how I feel about it from the start. I've never been a proponent of the Friday pre-meetings. I don't see much effect from it. I know the purpose of it was to try to lower the time of our meetings, and that's obviously not been the case recently. Now, I don't object to where if we have some major issue that we need to discuss and the public's really upset or they're in an uproar over something, that we call a meeting on a Friday, but I don't know that it should be standard. I mean, that's...
All right. Well, we'll discuss it further at our next pre-meeting. Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.